Hi, Sarah. This is Katie and Melena. We run the True Crime Junkies Facebook page. We just want you aware that this call is being recorded. Are you okay with this call being recorded?
Yes.
Are you okay if we share this recording with our Facebook group members?
Yes.
For our group members, this is an interview that Sarah has given us permission to conduct. Please do not share this outside the group without permission from both a True Crime Junkies admin and Sarah herself. Doing so will result in an immediate ban from all current and future groups. We implement this rule because when people come to us, they expect privacy.
Okay, Sarah, it's Katie, and I am going to start with the first question. Where are you originally from?
From Vermont, Brattleboro, Vermont.
Okay, it's a small town, right?
Yes.
Okay, what do you do for a living?
I work in finance.
Okay. Money lady.
Yes.
Okay, how did you meet Michael?
We met back home in our hometown after we both had moved back in 2007. I had moved back, I think, in 2006. Was doing the karaoke circuit, which was one bar, really. And he was dating a girl that I sort of knew roughly from that. And then we ended up running into each other about 6 months later, started talking at a bar.
Okay. When did you and Michael get married?
June of 2011.
Did you have a big wedding or just a small wedding?
It was pretty small. Probably 50 people or so.
So just intimate family.
Yes.
Okay. How did you find our group, True Crime Junkies?
I think it was through the Florida Scanner page on Facebook.
Okay, so you just, someone shared the link and heard we were discussing the group, so you joined us.
Right, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, we're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, when did you and Michael get a divorce?
So our divorce was official May 2nd, 2017.
Okay, when did you guys separate, before the divorce?
I guess I would consider it officially separated when he left town after robbing the veterinary hospital, which was July 1st, June 30th or July 1st, 2015 is when we were officially separated.
Was that did you feel like that was shocking and out of character for him?
Very much so. The affair was too. That was one thing I never anticipated from him. The whole robbery thing was definitely not. I feel like I was going to go somewhere with that thought. That's going to be what it was. It was completely shocking that any of that would happen. I think later it was easy to sort of explain it with the PTSD thing.
Yeah.
But
it's like you knew him one day and the next he was a stranger.
Yeah. Oh, what else I was going to go? So leading up to that, a few days prior, that whole time they were having an affair, I was fighting very hard to save our marriage, and without much luck, obviously. And just before he did the robbery and whatnot, he had sort of a confrontation with the owners of that veterinary hospital, who were like, look, you need to end your relationship. You can come live with us for a while, get your stuff straight. and whatever. And then they found out that he lied about his mom, because I told them after they asked the question. And so he came back to our house, and it seemed like, despite all of that, that we were going to make it work. It felt like, okay, well, this is a problem, but we're going to get through it together. And then I woke up the next morning and he was gone. So,
oh, I'm sorry. I can't imagine that. It's a shock,
It was really, it was really, really hard. I'm lucky to have the friends that I do who help support me through it.
Yeah, I got you through it, Okay. How was Michael, how was co-parenting with him? Was he actively involved in your kid's life?
Not really. And that was because when he had his legal issues, I left Florida to go to Vermont. So I was 1,000 miles away. He came back in the summer of 2016. He was there for a few months. We were not romantically involved. He was actually dating another girl in town at the time, maybe several of them, I'm really not sure. And he was very helpful. We had a decent co-parenting relationship. I left the kids with him over at his girlfriend's house a couple times. And then he felt that he needed to come down here because Casey was due to have Mercalli. And he felt that he owed it to her to at least to be here when Mercalli was born. Which, I guess seemed valiant at the time. It was decent then. After he was gone, it was very hard to maintain a parenting relationship when you're that far away and your kids are as young as ours were. It's like phone calls and stuff are not very effective, and no matter how many times I tried to get them to figure out FaceTime, it just never, and I don't have an iPhone, so FaceTime wasn't an option, but and then child support was inconsistent. The only reason I ended up getting it collected at all was because a friend of mine who lived local to Michael found out, saw him at lunch one day in his work van and sent me a picture so that I could send that to child support and have them file. They did. I'm having such a hard time remembering if it was one summer or 2 summers, but I know last summer I brought the kids down, up in North Carolina, and they had the kids for several weeks, probably about a week before Casey ended up having Ayana, my sister down here in Florida with them.
It really sounds like he really never gave you a reason to not trust him around the kids.
Never, no, and that's what obviously my friends did not care for him after all the stuff that happened. But in terms of being a father, he never gave me pause. And to be honest, at one point this summer, I told him that I thought he was a better parent than I was. That he just seemed more patient and more,
more.
Okay,
I have to, out of my own weird quirkiness, do you have a dog?
No, I have 2 cats.
Oh, okay. Did your cat?
I used to have a dog.
Did your dog like
Yes,
him?
actually. Yeah. So we had a dog. When we first met, I had a dog, and so I had her until I had to move from Florida because I couldn't bring her with me. And he works for a vet. Animals loved him.
Oh, yeah.
My cats love him. It's never been an issue of, and I think even either Bo or Casey Delaport posted that he was always extremely gentle and kind with his animals, with our senior clients. Again, I cannot express how incredibly shocking this is for his character.
Yeah. Okay. What was the extent of your relationship with Casey?
Not much. And obviously, I mean, it should be obvious for anybody, especially who's been through it. I didn't particularly care for her for a while. She definitely, I don't know. You know, early on that first year or whatever, she rubbed it in my face and was not kind about it.
Mm-hmm.
After last summer, so when the kids were coming back from Florida last summer was when I started to think about moving to Florida, because I was facing another 10 months of parenting by myself with no help, and it was very daunting. And so the thoughts started circulating about the possibility of moving. And I think it was after that point that I started to, Michael and I couldn't talk. Like, anytime I talked to him, we ended up fighting. So I started to reach out to Casey and text with Casey. And it was fine. We were friendly. It was like, okay, maybe we can do this. Maybe we can all co-parent together. You know, she seemed happy when I would send pictures of the kids and that kind of thing, and seemed very willing to be helpful about lots of different things. So,
okay, what was your relationship with Casey's children?
It really wasn't. I think the first time I met them in person was this summer. So there were two different times that Michael had them here. The first time was the week of August 12th when Ava got sick, and Michael came over with them because I had to take her to the hospital. She ultimately was diagnosed with a UTI, but I was scared, and she had a really high fever, and so he came over and had the three younger kids with him. And it was weird. I mean, he brought them back to the apartment that day because he was going to take Ava home to Summerfield. And it was weird to have a child calling him daddy in my presence who wasn't my child. But Ayana was a complete sweetheart. Macallie was a total firecracker. I wouldn't really say that I had a relationship with any of them to any extent other than the little bit of time I spent with them over that week and then that weekend that they were here.
Okay, a little bit lighter of a question. Do you feel that the members from our group, True Crime Junkies, have been treating you fairly?
For the most part, I think so, yes.
Okay, yeah. Sometimes it can be rough around the edges, but we try to keep it clean.
Totally. You guys have done a great job.
Thank you. Okay, so when was your first day in Jacksonville?
I got here June 22nd.
Okay. Why did you decide definitely to make the move to Jacksonville?
There were a lot of factors in it. Again, initially it was I need to be. My mom passed away in 2016, and my dad's not well, so I didn't have really any support system back home in terms of having anyone to watch the kids so I could have time to myself. And so that was, again, sort of started the process of my thinking of moving here. I had been seeing somebody for several years, and he owns a home in Jacksonville. And said it's a great city. There's a lot of opportunity. I had a great job back home, but the salary potential was not great. And as a single mom who was not getting consistent child support, even if I had been getting consistent child support, it was very difficult to survive on what I was making. So that was a factor as well. There's a lot more opportunity here to make the kind of money I need to make a good life for myself and my kids. And then finally, I never really wanted to leave Florida. It was under duress. I love living in Florida. The beach is my happy place. And I had always said when I lived here back then that I wanted to live closer to the beach. So Jacksonville seemed like a good fit in that way. And so, my friends were very hesitant about it because, again, Michael did not consistently pay child support. We did not have a very close relationship. They were uncertain that I could trust him, which as my friends, I completely understand that. But I had decided that even if he didn't follow through on what he was claiming he would do or what Casey was claiming they would do to participate, that at the very least I would be in a better position to take care of my kids on my own. So, long story short.
That sounds very reasonable. Okay, had you seen Casey at all since your arrival in Jacksonville? And if so, when was the last time you saw her?
I would have to guess. Yes, I did see her since I came here. The first 2 or 3. I don't remember exactly when they had them and didn't. They had them when I first moved here. I had gone on a work trip in the middle of June to Denver, and so I had brought them to Florida June 12th, and the plan was initially for them to have them for a while so I could get settled in Florida. And then the day that I was bringing them here, Casey was like, no, you need to, we really need you to get them on the 22nd. Michael's going into the hospital. And I was like, okay, well, that really sucks because I really, I wouldn't need enough furniture at that point. I didn't even have a confirmed apartment yet. Anyway, that's not the question you were asking. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So you are free to talk about whatever your heart desires.
Okay. I met her with the kids on the 23rd, I think. I saw her the 12th when I brought them down, her and Michael. I saw them. I'm not sure if it was both of them or just her on the 23rd when I got the kids back. And I would say probably, I know they had the kids for 4th of July because it's Jake's birthday. So I would say probably the weekend following that was the last time I saw her.
Okay. And, I'm just going to say the questions are basically our guidelines. And
okay. If I go off on a rant, that's okay.
If you have something that you feel needs to be said, then go ahead and say it. There's no issue there.
Okay.
Okay, so when was the time that you saw Cameron?
Probably the same time. Well, no. I don't know exactly. We were meeting pretty much every weekend, I guess, to trade off, for me to hand the kids over or whatever. I don't remember exactly when I last saw him.
Okay, so based on what we know and what Michael has confessed to, would you say, is it safe to say that your kids were also over there after everything happened and as he was still, between killing Casey and the kids? Sorry, it's hard for me to say that.
Completely.
I'm sorry I sound that way, but it's hard for me to say those words together.
Of course it is. I don't know that I've actually put those words out verbally at this point. If it truly happened on July 10th, then yes, my kids were there. So now, knowing what he's confessed to, he allegedly murdered her on the 10th. The first time he contacted me to say that they were separating and she had left was the 11th. I think I met him on the 12th for my kids to go there, and they were there most of July. because I was working. I was Ubering. And people seem to have a problem with my saying specifically that I Uber, but that's what I was doing for work at the time.
Hey, you got to do. You support your kids and put that roof on their head.
Yeah. So I was working, and so he had been. And again, the original agreement was for the kids to be with them for most of the summer. And I will say that when Michael and I spoke, one thing I remember specifically, because so on the 11th he said, we need to talk about the kids, or can we talk about the kids? And I dreaded it because every other conversation we ever had was awful. And I was like, oh God, what is he going to yell at me about now? And I don't say that to mean that he was abusive. It's just, it was like a contentious post-divorce relationship. Like we just couldn't.
Yeah, it's volatile.
Yeah. And so I was dreading it.
It's either hatred or love, or love and hatred. And that's how they come out.
I mean, it was pretty normal for post-divorce, I think.
Yeah.
And so when we got on the phone, he was like, you know, Casey and I are done, blah, blah, blah. He's like, the final straw for me was that on 4th of July, she made our oldest son cry, which is, like I said, it's his birthday. So he claims that I don't honestly remember exactly what the scenario was, and it's something about her jealousy and Mike looking at some girls or something, and she made Jake cry on his birthday. So he was upset about that. So yeah, my kids were there, and I asked them today and tried to find a roundabout way to ask, like, you know, you said Dad's van smelled funny. Did the house smell funny? And Jake's like, no, it didn't smell like that at all. So I don't know how that makes sense, you know, but yeah, that's what he said. So
he was there. So
yeah, I think he'd be the only one who'd be like aware of it.
And for the record, how old is he?
10.
So yeah, talking to a 10-year-old, it's something you definitely pick up on. I would think, you know.
Yeah.
Unless
absolutely.
maybe he nonchalantly kept them sectioned off to certain parts of the house and just made it seem normal, or you know what I mean?
Yes. And I will say that Michael had told me that, and now so we lived in a trailer before. It was awful. And at one point our central air went out, so we were stuck in one room with a window unit. That was back when we were married. So he had told me about this one, kind of the same thing. Like he only had window units, and they basically everybody lived in the living room.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah. And so I don't know.
Sectioned off and made it seem normal.
Yes. And I don't know if that's just as of this summer, because the kids were actually with them in April. I came down here during their April vacation to see Jacksonville to do some job interviews, and the kids went to Summerfield with Casey and Mike in April. I have no idea if that was the case then also, but I would have to assume that was for other reasons.
Yeah, more recent development.
Yeah.
Okay, another lighter question.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is different. Sorry. In our True Crime Junkies Facebook group, the questions relating to when various people saw the children are the most commonly asked. So I'm going to ask about the other kids individually now as well.
Okay.
When was the last time you had saw Preston?
August 25th.
August 25th?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When was the last time you saw McKaylee? Or is it McKaylee? Sorry.
McKaylee. Also August 25th.
Okay. And how about Ayana?
Also August 25th.
Okay. When was the last time you saw Michael?
Was it September 15th? Was that Sunday? At about 3 o'clock is when he left here.
Okay. When did you last speak to Michael?
When he left that day.
Okay. And sorry.
I was going to say he told the kids he'd be back in an hour. He had to go do some work.
Okay. Has he tried to contact you since his arrest?
Not that I'm aware of. If there's been, like, I don't know what the number would have come up as if he had, but I highly doubt it.
Oh, okay. What are your feelings towards Michael now, knowing what he's done?
Very, very complicated.
Yeah.
I mean, initially I just was, would have just wanted him killed right then. I am grieving my friendship at this point, I think. And the future I thought we were going to have as co-parents. I mean, I guess you could say I hate him. But, you know, it's super, super complicated.
Yeah, I mean, he's the father of your children.
He is, and it's, you know, I look at the pictures and the videos of him in jail and in court, and it's just so fucking weird how he does not look like the person who left my apartment that day. Like, there's like a demon like moved in behind those eyes. I don't understand it.
Okay, another lighter question. Have you felt that our group, the True Crime Junkies on Facebook, has been publishing accurate information?
Yeah, I mean that's predominantly the reason that I've stayed, because it seems to be the easiest place to get the most up-to-date information on the case. So, yeah.
Wow. Melina and our girls behind the scenes, Kelly and Nikki and Sean, all of them, they work hard when they can, and Melina she's a hustler, so she strives to keep it clean.
Yeah.
And, you know, to find accurate information, we don't like to post falsehoods. Right. That doesn't help. So we like to make sure that it's accurate. Okay, so was there ever a thought in your mind of getting your family back together?
Not really. To be completely honest, I one day texted a friend of mine, very good, faithful friend of mine who is good at giving me the real stuff, that it was very confusing for me having Michael here, because while I am not in any way in love with him, and obviously he hurt me very badly, it was such a relief having another parent, another adult here with me, and knowing that he had expressed an interest in being together again, or wishing that he hadn't ruined our marriage the way he did, was briefly confusing. That having been said, she immediately shut that down, and brought me back to reality. You know, in all honesty, again, pre-December 15th, pre-knowing what I know, felt like the easiest thing to do for everybody was just to put the family back together. You know, my kids seemed to want it and whatnot. But realistically, I was never going to trust him again. There's just no way my heart could ever go there in any capacity, sexually or romantically. So, you know, I don't think, I mean, maybe for half a day, you know, but I knew from the outset that I could trust him as a parent, I could trust him as my friend, but I would never be able to. I took such a long time looking inside myself and getting over him after all the pain that he caused me. And there was just no way to ever go back to that. There's just, you can't recoup that.
Yeah.
After all that.
So after July 10th, had he been trying to get back together with you?
I wouldn't say actively. I mean, he would make allusions to my looking good or, missing me. There was a brief period where he would make, body jokes or whatever about things, but I think pretty quickly he realized that it wasn't being received well. I just basically wouldn't respond. It was mostly through text at that point. So, yeah, I think it was clear to me that if the door were open to him, he would be there in a second. But, I was not.
Yeah.
He also was aware that I was not receptive. Correct.
Okay. Were there any red flags that you are seeing now looking back that something was amiss?
I think the only it's so hard to say because it's am I seeing them as red flags of this or just of Michael's normal dishonesty? He told me probably in early mid-July that he had gone to the child support office and paid child support because his license was about to be suspended and I hadn't been paid in a while. And he insisted, no matter how many times I asked him, that he had actually gone and done it. And it was a month later and I still hadn't gotten any money and he was still. So that was I guess you could call it a red flag, but it was just normal Michael behavior to not tell the truth. So, that kind of thing. But the only other thing I will say is that, and I don't know when this was, when it started, when it ended, but I would walk into my apartment and it smelled like mothballs. And he'd be like, oh, that's just my shoes or just my clothes or whatever. And it's mothballs, a good friend of mine's dad used to pour those into her wall. So it's not alarming. And again, I don't think your mind's going to go there if you don't think somebody's capable of that.
Yeah.
Certainly didn't smell like dead body or anything. So, I smelled that a few times. Didn't really raise any flags for me, but of course now I know probably what that was had to do with it. Yeah.
Okay, my next question was if he ever had an odd smell to him.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't necessarily him. It was just I think it was clothes. I feel he would come in and immediately change his clothes, and so there was clothes in the washing machine. Because that's right when I walk into my apartment, and sometimes in the boys' bathroom or the kids' bathroom, which is where there's another laundry basket, would smell like that. So I think he was changing clothes pretty quickly. And I said something in the group today too that if he was picking the boys up from the Y every day, but I didn't see them until after they'd gotten home and gone to the pool. So, any smell that might have lingered on any of them would have been taken care of by them. So.
Okay, yeah. Okay, at this point, when I was naming off all of the moms and everyone, I forgot Carol, who has been working her butt off on this, so I'm going to shout out to Carol. And then we also have Jesse and Jessica. But, Sarah, is there anything else that you would like to address to our True Crime Junkies members?
Meaning, are you done with questions?
Yep.
Okay. There were a couple things that I don't think I've said in the group. So the first day that Michael left, a detective came here and I spoke to him at great length about a lot of things. And Michael had given me a laptop like a couple weeks before that he said he had like scrubbed or whatever you do with laptops, which Michael's not good with technology, so I don't know how he managed that, but he had given that to us mostly for Jake to use. But I handed that over to the detectives, like, please take this. And keeping in mind that I didn't really think he had done anything at that point, but I'm like, you know, this is something Michael gave me that if there is something, like, this is probably a tool you can use. And then the other thing is that this is maybe a close second to the horror of realizing that my children were in a car with dead bodies. Last week I saw in your group somebody posted where Michael had done it with a bat. And I immediately remembered that he gave a bat to my son weeks ago, which was under his bed. So
he gave him your son a bat?
Yes, a metal bat. So they have that now. The sheriff had that. They came and brought it. So yeah, that's
okay. I just looked. I did miss a couple of questions. I'm sorry. They got cut off.
Oh, it's okay. So it seemed like there were more.
Yeah, no, it got cut off with how I had transcribed everything differently or pasted it anyway. Okay, so we kind of covered that part. When he came to your apartment, do you know where he parked his van?
It was like a cross on the other. Excuse me. He parked it on the farther side of the parking lot, and he parked it backwards so that the rear of the van was facing the woods.
Okay, the rear of the van was facing the woods. Did he park? Was there like a dumpster or anything over there?
No.
So you think it was just the woods that kind of attracted him to that area? Was that abnormal? Like, did that start after what we now know? I mean, it would have to have been because he wasn't really here before that. Like the first time he came here was like August 13th or 14th. Okay. So what was his demeanor like when he stayed with you? Was he like happy, distant, depressed, or paranoid? He was normal. He was normal Michael. He was playing with the kids, chatting with me, listening to podcasts. That was the other thing. We talked about true crime podcasts. Including like Cold, which is about Susan Powell. I mean, it was I knew he was under stress because he wasn't working a lot and going through a second divorce with more kids, you know, like, so, I know somebody mentioned something about why would I trust him if I knew he was drinking a lot and he was driving my kids. Like, I mean, he was drinking a lot, like, when he was here at night, not driving around. Like, the only times he really drove were, like, at 3 or 4 in the afternoon and he was picking up my kids. So it was just like when you were settled in for the evening. Yes, yeah. It's not like he was nonstop, as far as I knew. Okay. Was there anything different about Michael in the days leading up to his arrest? Not that stands out to me. He even texted me because I was at work the Friday before, and he texted me that day to tell me that he thinks she knows that I'm no longer at the trailer, or I'm not at the trailer anymore. Michael wouldn't talk like that. I think she knows I'm not at the trailer anymore.
something, maybe she's going to keep the girls from me or something. I don't know. Like, it was a very, like, I'm having a fight with my second ex-wife kind of text.
Okay, so if he said that she was going to keep the girls from him, that was probably going to be his excuse for why they weren't coming around, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not something, I had just seen them 3 weeks or so before. I think in some of my screenshots from our text, like, there was conversation about, like, her threatening to keep the girls from him previously. Yeah, I mean, I didn't question that it had been 3 weeks since he had them. Yeah. It just didn't seem that weird to me.
Okay. Why didn't you call the sheriff back at 4 a.m.?
Because it was 4 a.m. I mean, it just, I completely understand that knowing what everybody knows now, that there should have been a sense of urgency. Like, from a different perspective, there may have been a sense of urgency. I didn't know a damn thing about anything. So, to me, I mean, Michael said it was maybe something about the trailer that he'd just been forced to move out of. And even when I spoke to the detective later that morning, he was like, I'm so sorry to have called you so late at night. I mean, it was like, there was no sense of, like, immediately call me back kind of thing from him. So I just didn't, I didn't know what it was about. So I figured it was something Michael needed to deal with, and I had no idea that it was anything like this.
Yeah, I definitely understand. Like, even reading that kind of made me chuckle, because calling someone at 4 a.m. just seemed taboo.
Yeah, I mean, I was up asleep. I hadn't gotten home from working until 12:30. So it's like,
Yeah, I totally get that. That is relatable, at least for me. I mean, I can say that I probably wouldn't have either. I mean, maybe if he said he was coming back and then there's a call from a sheriff.
Yeah, I mean, if he said in his voicemail, like, you need to call me back immediately, or like, he just sounded casual and, like, whatever. Like, it didn't sound, I don't know.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I get that. Okay, well, that is it for my questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Sarah, for allowing True Crime Junkies to do this interview with you to help shed some light on this tragic case. Please don't hesitate to reach back out to us should you want to say anything else in the future.